Yes, I know Andy and John both want to
Yeah.
comment on this topic as well, so
I
go
think
ahead.
that- I
John,
think
we'll
that-
start with you.
I think that's a very perceptive point about the willingness to use force and the unwillingness to use force. What happened in Berlin that night or the day before, there had been a party conference at the highest level, and they had announced that they decided that the wall would be opened a bit. That night, the press secretary said it would be, because he hadn't been briefed properly, that it would be opened immediately. And suddenly there were huge crowds at the wall, and the East German border guards panicked. They didn't know what to do, and they were told, let him through. And that's exactly what happened. They didn't use force, unlike Tiananmen Square, and the wall went down.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with you that the individuals here, the activists and the leaders were critical. In terms of Gorbachev's role, in '95, I spent a few days with him in the Urals when no one was paying much attention to him, and we talked about these things. And what struck me was that even then, he believed he could have saved the Soviet Union. He really believed, in terms of, at first he believed maybe this party no longer believed, but first he believed that he had sprinkled kind of mini Gorbachevs around Eastern Europe, they would have stayed in power. The people who allow a little bit more dissent, a little more economic experimentation, and the Eastern Europeans would be fine. What he didn't realize, if you remove the threat of Soviet tanks, this whole place was going to go. To his credit, he then did not roll in the tanks, which is your point, that another leader probably would have. But the same thing was true within the Soviet Union. And what he didn't realize, I think, was the degree to which all those attempts at using force, which had succeeded provisionally for a while and kept that whole empire together, had led to a situation where nobody believed, very few people believed anymore, that there was kind of a reformed socialism that you could preserve. I remember I remember the Dubček era in Czechoslovakia and so forth. There were lots of people, even after the tanks rolled, who said, well, if only we reform this system, but we don't really have to go to a full democratic system, a full capitalist system. I remember in '88, I was covering some protests in Poland, and I talked to students. I said, what do you think about this idea? Can the system still be reformed? And he said, well, think of it this way. The relationship between democracy and socialist democracy is the same as between a chair and an electric chair. We're not sitting in that chair anymore. And they really wanted to change the system. And a lot of people didn't understand that or believe that, including in the West, even though they weren't sure that it would happen anywhere that quickly.